Well, hello there and good day. Thank you so much for joining me at Ariel's Writing Corner, the place where we talk about writing and all things creative. So today's topic is crowdfunding, and it's specifically asking, what are the two types of people you'll run into while you're crowdfunding for your novel or your artwork, your comic, your whatever? And to just make sure we're all on the same page, crowdfunding is something like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo where you're going and you're saying, hey, I have this thing that's halfway finished or partway finished or I just want to do, and I've got this track record of creating stuff, and if you can give me some money up front in exchange for almost like a pre-order of the thing that I'm making, then, I will be able to make the thing that I am making better. I've personally done two of these, one more successful than the other, and I found them helpful. It's something like if you need to hire an editor for your book and you crowdfund for an editor, you've got the book done already. You're not just saying, I have an idea for a book. Like, no, you've got a thing done. Now we're all on the same page of crowdfunding. Let's talk about the two types of people you'll run into. So the first type of people, you may be surprised to find this out, are people you already know. These are people you drive to your Kickstarter that you already know of the existence of, or that at least know you. These are your coworkers that you say, hey, buddy, I've got a book if you want to buy it and help me get out of this job. And, then I don't get to hang out with you at the job, but, we can hang out outside of the job at the Writer Festival. Think your family or your friends. You go to your friends and you say, hey, my next book is coming out. I'm a little bit short on an editor. Do you want to come to my Kickstarter and kick in a few bucks and spread the word around? Even if you can't kick in a few bucks, spread the word around. It's even your internet friends. So like people that you know online, your Discord people, your writing community people, your people on Blue Sky. See the blue butterfly below. These are the people that know you, know of you, have some reason to like know your situation already, and know you exist already. Cool. Move on to the next type of people, and you'll be surprised to find they are the people you don't already know. So these are people who come across your social media via some kind of promo, like if you do like some sort of advertisement for your Kickstarter, which I know sounds counterintuitive, spending money, but sometimes you spend money to make money. You advertise the Kickstarter with a $30 package, and it brings in people that kick in like $5 each, and there's 50 people. I don't know. I'm making up numbers here. Some people do that, let's say. So maybe they come across you through some kind of promo. Maybe, you just get some good word of mouth in. You do, I know my editor might laugh at this, but you do one of those pitching contest type thingies where, okay, on this day we all pitch our books about why, and it's like, okay, I don't personally have the most faith in them, as you can tell, but I do understand that they can be useful to get people talking about stuff. And if a really interesting take comes up, it can bring attention to that. So I'm not completely discounting it. It's just not my thing. But they might see that. They might even go to the website you're using to fund your thing just to see what's interesting. Like, hey, I'm looking for a new book. Let me go on Kickstarter and see if there's a book I can kickstart so that I can get a book in like 6 months that really fits something I want. Yeah, there's that. Now, some things are a little more interesting about Kickstarters because Kickstarters and Indiegogos and other crowdfunding mechanisms are just like, there's a lot of things you do about them. There's a lot of things you don't do about them. You don't want to talk about it too often, but you don't want to not talk about it. If you're using a social media site with an algorithm to promote it, that's the thing. But ultimately, this is something that can get somebody's attention on it for a while because you're thinking, I need to do this to make the money to do X, Y, and Z with my story to make this a complete thing. But and if you can't tell, this is the part where I kind of just make stuff up and go. I'm off script. It's all fine. Ultimately, don't lose yourself in this. It's easy to. I know I've done it. I've done it to the point where I've been like, I don't like the lighting in my house. I'm going to go to my dad's house and do it. That's how I got about it at one point in my life, because I wanted to promote a book. You don't have to do that. The truth of the matter is, you've got two markets: the people that you know and the people you don't know. The people who don't know you are mostly looking at your book, I would think. They're like, does this book sound like it fits me? They're not looking at you as a person because they don't know who you are. Maybe they'll look into you. And it's good to have some depth. Like if they look into you, have a website, or at least even if it's a freebie website, like a Wix or whatever, although I don't know if Wix is being free now. I've heard they may not be. That's why their name is even in my head. I personally have a Squarespace, but that's not free. And I have my own domain name, which is also not free. I'm very lucky in that regard. But, you can get just a free website. They make rip-offs of GeoCities now. If you don't know what GeoCities is, ask your parent. They probably do. It's a free website service, or it was a free website service, but now they've got NeoCities. So make some sort of website. That way you can steer people towards that. And that's also a different method of engagement. This is drawing on my educational psychology stuff here, but like, hey, some people don't like video, but if you've got your website, they'll read your website. So yeah, you also want them to read the stuff that's on the Kickstarter page, but you wrote that. You're a writer, or maybe you're not a writer. Maybe you're an artist who's watching this, in which case, hi, don't think I forgot about you. That's why I mentioned art at the start. But, you just want to have something that will give somebody some information about what you're selling versus what you are, who you are. I say what, like we're objects, but I guess in D&D, corpses are objects, and I sometimes just use the wrong word. So, I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers for Kickstarters because, like I said, I've done one well and one not so well. But the bottom line is they're a tool in your toolbox. They're a modern thing. They're a thing that, like, crowdsources patronage. And, yeah, Patreon, by the way, would be people you know, because if they're on your Patreon, they're already supporting you to some extent. So they're people you know. Patreon's another like sort of crowdfunding site. By the way, I didn't mention them earlier because they're not so much crowdfunding for an object, but crowdfunding for your career. The other thing I would say about crowdfunding in general is try as best as you can to not need it. So, for example, I'm not saying go without editing because I've learned the hard way that editing makes your work a lot better. But if you can afford one editing pass, that's great. Even if it's just line editing or something simple like basic editing. And then if you want to go more developmental and get more chapters done, that might be a thing you crowdfund for. Cover art. You can draw your own cover art. I've done my own cover art. It's actually one of my better selling books. It's terrible, but you wouldn't know it because no one thinks about it because it just looks average, which is, great. And then there's cover art that I had that's beautiful that's like not selling at all comparatively. So cover art, right? Have the ability to have your own cover art even if you're just kind of using something, yes, you paid for. You're not stealing art. You're not using any kind of art theft machine, but you are getting your own artwork. And then if you crowdfund enough money, well, now you're going to get more artwork, or you've already got enough money for your cover. Once you get more money, your stretch goal, which is just like a goal that you get when you're stretching out. I don't know, this is turning into like a whole advice video, and I didn't mean for it to, but sure. A stretch goal is like, hey, I made my minimum goal. Now if I get more money, I can do this. Would be like getting more character art. Like for my latest Physics Incarnate novel, I'll throw a plug in, Physics Incarnate. Each chapter, you get another character portrait, which is just like, hey, people noticed that when they read the book and they left that in reviews. Does that mean it's going to work for you? No. Does it mean it works for me? No. But could it work? Yes. Does it help? Yes. So there's no magic formula here. It's just crowdfunding is a way to try to raise money. Balance that against your expenses as best you can. And try to only the number one thing, by the way, I know I'm waiting for this till the number one thing is the last thing I'm going to say out of my mouth, right? Like, what am I, a journalist? Kind of. Is, you know, the old saying is under promise, over deliver. I would reorganize that to just make sure you can deliver. So if God forbid you get nothing, or you only get half your money, and you promised people a book, and they get charged for that book, get them that book and get it to them somewhere near on time, preferably. Because above all else, your reputation is on the line here. I mean, I don't want to say it harshly. I'm not trying to say this to be like scary Jesse, but if you don't deliver the product with the enhancements that your Kickstarter is offering, like, that's not great. That's going to look really bad on you, and people aren't going to want to be on your social media. They're not going to want to contribute money to you in the future. They're not going to want to read your work. They might leave you a negative review. And while reviews are not a live and die by, they are a thing that does matter. So, you know, keep your word. But the reason why I made that last, is if I organize this in any type of way whatsoever, is because you should know this going in. You should know that you need to be able to fulfill the thing you're promising. And if you don't, now you do. If that discourages you, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry I wasted your time with this video, but it should reaffirm you, like, yeah, I'm going to deliver. Yes, Jesse, I'm going to get that done, because that's what you do. You're a creator. You create things, you make things, and I believe you can do it. If you spent the time it takes to watch this now 12-minute long video on the dot, you're obviously serious about this. And yes, my camera did just wiggle on my on my screen. Yeah, the point is, I believe in you. If you're the person who inspired this idea, you know who you are. I definitely believe in you. And yeah, just, you know, get it done. You can do it. You don't have to set any timetables you don't want to set. Just get it done. Thank you all so much for joining me. It's been a while since I've done one of these. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments. This might be the 10th episode, which normally I would do like in every 5 episodes. I'll say up front, like, the number one thing you can do to support Ariel's Writing Corner is subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because that just means more people are going to watch it. I'm going to make more of it. So please check it out. Thank you all so much for joining me. And as always on this channel, pieces.